Hey guys, so this week I have a drawing of my OCs, Jack and Claire. And Jack is a zombie and Claire's his human girlfriend. And I had this idea last year where they would be like dressing up as, he would dress up as a human and she would dress up as a zombie. And I just sort of held on to that for an entire year because I had the idea right after Halloween. So I was like, well, I guess I know what I'm doing next year. And I would actually really like to do another Halloween piece that is kind of unrelated to my OCs, especially since this is so simple. But I've been kind of on the busy side lately, and I don't really know if I'll actually get to anything else, so consider this the Halloween picture for the year. So, I had to come up with the poses, and I already knew I wanted Claire to be all like, bleh, and I didn't really know exactly what I wanted Jack to do, but it just sort of came a little bit naturally whenever I was sketching, to just kind of have him looking down at her and like with this expression that's kind of like a little bit amused, but also kind of like, I don't do that. I don't act like that. And yeah, so whenever I was starting the coloring here, you can kind of see I'm a little bit I want to use the word tentative, because I was like, how exactly am I going to kind of make it obvious that he's the zombie dressing up as a human and vice versa for her? Like, exactly to what extent did they go to for like these costumes and things like that? And one thing I did was to have them not have like the paint, like the face paint, cover their ears, so their ears show like their real like colors, and like even there, like on Jack's arm, and you'll see later even on like her upper arm, like things that would kind of otherwise be covered but they're kind of showing for that moment, like, so mostly just like the face and neck like on Jack, and then her arms and her face and stuff on her, Claire. So, I kind of just sort of started, like, just laying those colors in. And I didn't really know what colors I even wanted to use for her skin, because whenever I draw Jack, it's normally either just black and white or in watercolor. So I was like, how am I going to translate this to Copics? And originally, I just used my BV31, which is the color I used to shade white, and also what I use for my shadows on skin. And so I did that, but then I ended up using BV11 and also C1, which I'm not sure if using C1 was really the best idea, but whatever. And then later on I ended up giving in and just using E000, I think, to just add a little bit of a skin color to it. Either it's like her skin kind of showing through some of the paint, or it's just like a bit of a natural color to the whiteness of the paint, who knows. I was originally going to ink this in black. I don't know exactly what my reasoning was, mainly just because I guess my sketch was done in a black pen. And, you start getting kind of attached to these things, like you get kind of scared of doing something else. And it was probably a good thing that this talked me out of it, but I realized that the black pens that I own don't work with alcohol-based markers. Like, they work with watercolor, but they don't work with alcohol-based markers. They smudge a bit, so I was like, well, I guess I'm going to go with the brown liner then. Made my decision for me, which is probably for the better anyway. I don't know why. Like, I get really like scared to use black liners like on finished pieces, like especially Copic pieces. Like I have not used a black liner on a Copic piece in years. Probably like 3 years. At least. I usually either use like brown or sepia. Sometimes wine, although I don't have one right now because the pen just started leaking. I think I mentioned that in my Splatoon drawing. Yeah. So I don't have that anymore. And really like my red liner too, but I don't use that very often. Okay, I'm going off on a tangent. I haven't quite gotten up to it yet, but one of like the scariest things about doing this was actually coloring Jack's hair black, which for those of you who don't know, his hair is white. So I wasn't even quite sure what color I wanted to use, but my initial thought was black. And in those cases, it's like I should probably go with my instinct on this. And I thought about even doing blonde or something so it wasn't like such an extreme difference, but I knew it kind of needed to be black. So I actually saved that till almost the very end because I was really scared to do it. Although I actually could have afforded to have waited after I put in the background because like I could have easily dragged in that black into the background, which was yellow, and that would have been awful, but thankfully I was pretty careful. Oh, you can see I'm coloring in the phone. That's like about the color of my phone. That's why I chose those colors. It's just a little bit lighter. You can also probably kind of see, and maybe you don't even really notice, which would actually be a good thing, but like I don't draw the top rim of Claire's glasses, and that's just because that's just like a style kind of thing. Whenever I was watching like Voltron, I noticed that they don't like draw the top part of Paige's glasses to kind of keep from obstructing her eyebrows. And I found whenever I was doing like comics and stuff with like Claire and things like that, that it actually worked pretty well, because sometimes dealing with those top rims and having it obstruct her eyebrows was really annoying, and it could sometimes lead to her almost having the wrong expression. So I kind of adopted that a little bit of just not drawing the top rim of her glasses. I grew a little bit unsure of the background color. Like my initial idea was to make it yellow, and whenever it was finally coming up time to it, I was like, I don't know, would these colors really work with yellow? But I ended up doing it anyway, although I chose a little bit of a more orangey yellow. And what I did was I put down E21 and then put down, did I say E? I meant to say Y. I put down Y21 and then I put down Y32 right afterward while the ink was still wet. And it really gave me some pretty good coverage. Like, the only part where you can really see streaks is whenever both of the markers were actually kind of starting to run out of ink, and that is like the right top corner where there's the most space. So I kind of figured that something like that would actually probably happen about there. But other than that, it's a pretty smooth color and stuff, and I think it looks actually pretty good. I kind of forgot to mention this. I would actually say the biggest struggle of this was doing Claire in general, but mostly her skin, because I kept feeling like there just wasn't enough contrast, so I kept like going back and fixing it. So I would actually say she took way longer than him. Although that's kind of to be expected because she has more details than him. But yeah, that was actually the hardest part. I just kept feeling like there wasn't enough contrast. And whenever I looked at it like from afar, whenever I wasn't working on it, I thought it looked better. But whenever I was there working on it, I'm like, this looks terrible and I don't know what to do to fix it. And I even I think I even went back over her glasses. Oh, see, I did it right now. To also help with the whole contrast thing, and that's even why I went in with that last shadow of color on her hair and stuff like that. Kept trying to bump up the contrast, and yeah. It looks fine, but, you know, that was, like, my big thing right there. Doing the blood was kind of fun. I don't get to draw blood very often, but all I had to do was just, like, you know, put in some of that red and some of that brown, and then, like, use the colorless blender over it to kind of make it seem like it's more soaked into fabric. So that's about it. That's all I really have to say. I don't really think I had that much to say anyway, but I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you did, like, comment, and subscribe, and all that other fun YouTube stuff, and I will see you next week. Bye!